These are top 5 tactics right now during Team of the Season. These are just pure meta tactics, so this is no fun tactics. This is purely if you just want the wins. We're going to go in descending order from the top 5, and then we're going to go eventually to the best formation inside the game. Some things you're going to find a bit different, a bit unique. We're going to start with the 5th one. It's definitely going to be the 4-2-3-1. You could argue this 5th place is quite debatable. There's many tactics that kind of go in, but if you take into account the whole community, what the average person will just use as a meta stable, I think this is one of the most solid formations. The depth can be on 50 or 70 depending on your level, and this is a very good system. It's very identical to the 4-4-1-1. The way you want to think of this formation is a 4-4-1-1 without center mids. Of course, we know that center mids, they sit higher. Most players struggle defensively without CDM. That's just a fact, even players in the elite division. So realistically speaking, CDMs are always going to be safer, both for the counterattacks and maybe even build-up play, being closer to your backline, so less press resistant, I would say. But it's pretty much self-explanatory. You got the advanced forward, similar to a 4-4-1-1. Playmaker, but you could also go with a shadow striker here. Depends, you want to make it a bit more attacking, maybe a bit more defensive. Inside forward for both the left mid and right mid. We know that's the best roles right now for AI attacking movement. For when they start out wide in the final third, they become kind of inverted and go in between the half spaces. And both the CDMs here, we have basically deep line playmaker for CDMs. Now for the fullbacks, left them unbalanced. Of course, you can make these fullback defend if you really struggle defensively, but I think by now you should be using a fullback balanced and the goalkeeper's on defense. So this, I would say, would be the number 5 formation. This kind of goes in with all the fullbacks, all the 4-2-3-1s that generally have some sort of 2 CDM. That's like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-1-3. Anything that has 2 CDM is always going to be stable. I like to look at this, however, as if you like playing a 4-4-1-1, but it's a bit too attacking for you and you feel like you lack the CDMs and protection, then this is identical to the 4-4-1-1. I repeat, this is identical. It just has CDMs and a safety net. So if you liked my 4-4-1-1 the other day, that I mentioned was off that pro player, and he kind of puts one player as a winger, which I used some time back, if you remember, which is now getting a bit more popularity, then this is definitely a formation for you. Do you want to increase your win rate just before Team of the Season? We got the Division 10 to Elite Division series. All the videos are finally uploaded. We show you how to get from Division 10 to the Elite Division, basic gameplay. No speed boosting, no mechanic abusing, no Trivella at all, because we want you to get there just with basic gameplay to show you don't need to mechanic abuse. If you want to mechanic abuse, that's fine. We want to show you how to play properly first and then show you what the pros do. What pros do is they used basic gameplay and then they mechanic abuse to get the top 10%. Not the other way around. They don't mechanic abuse first and then learn the basics. We go over complete in-depth tutorials. And don't forget, with my entire series, if you join now during Team of the Season, remember, if you don't get better after 1 month, we will refund your money. That is the nil guys guarantee. That is how sure we are. We've been running this for 4 or 5 years. We go over in-depth tutorials. We also go over pro gameplay analysis where we analyze the full professional player's game. We've got tutorials for everything, undefendable through balls, player locks, precision passing, precision shooting, everything that you could think of that goes beyond my YouTube channel. We've got the full defensive series, which defending series alone, just by watching that, I can guarantee you'll improve. Patreon.com/NilGuys, links down below in the description. If you don't get better after 1 month, just send a message on Discord or send a message through Patreon and I'll refund your money. That's the Nil Guys guarantee. Don't believe me? Try it out. What have we got to lose? Less than the price for a KFC meal nowadays. Now we're going to dive straight into the 4-4-1-1. Very, very similar to what we had before. As I said, the main thing is you don't have CDMs. This one's slightly more attacking. We got advanced forward on the shadow striker. The rest of the roles, instructions per se, are copied like for like. One of the center mids on a box-to-box. You can even put both of them on a box-to-box. But you have to be very good defensively because when both of these players are going forward, sometimes you're left with a 4v4 at the back. You have to know, you have to trust yourself when you defend. A lot of people that just skip videos, they don't understand the user tactic and they always say it doesn't work. But you have to always adjust it for your own style. Remember, that's the best tip I'll ever give you. It's always like sitting in a car. You know, everyone's going to have different seat positions. Adjust it for you. Now, I would probably advise this one higher depth for like the rank 3 and above. Anyone that's below, I'd probably say go with balance. I'd probably go with counters. Anyone that's watching this as rank 3 and below, I'd probably recommend this. It's a bit more of a conservative system, and I would suggest putting one of them, as I said, on holding, or you can put them on deep line playmaker. It's up to you. They're virtually the same. So you have one player kind of sitting, and you have one player basically going up and down, both in possession and tracking back, of course, without the ball as well. So again, this is very, very similar to the last formation. We've got the shadow striker. The main caveat between this and, of course, so this one, this 4-4-1-1 and the 4-2-3-1, the main caveat is you have to bear in mind that it's quite slow to build up. And what I mean by that is if you're looking for pure counter-attacking play, these are not the formations for you. These two formations are a bit more stable. They're a bit more for the slower players. You basically want to get the ball. You can still counterattack, but the idea is you want to wait for your players to go forward, for your fullbacks to go forward, for your attackers to go inside the middle, for your box-to-box to join the attack. So it's a kind of a systematic, progressive system is what I would say. It's not one where you get the ball. People see the word count and they think, oh, I'm going to get the ball from A to B or A to Z immediately to the other half. It doesn't work like that, especially against a top-tier player. Someone on the same level as you, that's where you'll struggle. So both of these formations, you have two options. So this will go in the fourth place. It's better, but the problem is this formation for the masses, the average person, they struggle with that. See, that's why if you watch every single one 4-4-1-1 video, it doesn't matter what YouTuber you watch, every single time there's one guy crying in the comment section saying the tactic doesn't work. It's because they don't know how to defend. And that is why, although this is probably one of the most common formations used right now in a professional scene, most professional players have some sort of a 4-4-1-1 in their arsenal. So this is the next step up, and this would be number 4th best formation. I would say right now in the pro scene, it's really running rampant. Almost every single professional player has some sort of this system because they're able to press, and of course they have the ability to defend with their CDMs. Without the CDMs, they have center mids instead. Okay, we go to number 3. This is something that I'm going to put in. The regular 4-2-2-2, I think, is a fantastic formation. I think for the average player that wants to play a 4-4-2, but perhaps doesn't want to be overly aggressive with center mids and use a 4-4-1-1 or 4-4-2, this is kind of the healthy middle ground. This is like in between. This is the one where you have your CDMs, you're still attacking, your cams are not too wide apart. But the way I play this one, this is my twist. This is the one that attacks down one side. Now, I'm not joking. This might be, generally speaking, one of the best formations I've made this year. In my opinion, this is probably the top formation inside the game, in my personal opinion. This is top 5 meta list, but I have to put this at 3 because you have to understand how people, you know, this is like a one-sided attack formation. Yes, I could put my player to play on the right-hand side, but that's basically a 4-4-2. The idea is you concentrate your attack down one side, which naturally most people do. It's either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Most people attack naturally down the right-hand side because they're shooting from left to right and the lowest part of the screen is closer to them. And normally the lowest part of the screen is where they normally typically attack the most. But it could depend if you're left-handed, right-handed, where your best player is. Those things are important. But the reason why I say this system is one of the best is because you have that cam player and you have the left mid. So you basically always have a numerical advantage. If you play this formation properly, you always have a numerical advantage. I'll tell you this. A professional player should probably use this. I think some of you have tried it, but I guarantee you this is one of the most underrated, if not one of the best formations inside the game. For me, I had a 3-5-2 variation that I made before. I think that was slightly too attacking for the average person, but I'll be honest, I think this is the best one. I made a video on this. It kind of plays like a 4-4-2 in attack. Then after a period of time, then the right cam goes from the right position into the central position behind the two strikers over there. So best AI attacking movement. If you don't want any of that nonsense, literally you can just put both of these players, you can put both of these cams on Playmaker if you want to. So if you don't want that, let's say you just want a traditional one, you can go like this and put them both on Playmaker, or you could arguably put them both on half winger. The only thing that I do quite differently compared to everyone else is I've got one on deep line Playmaker and one on holding. For me, in a 2 CDM system, this is everything. You've got the best of both worlds. You've got one CDM that's holding, but that can help you be a bit more in front. So if you're under pressure, you can lob the ball to that player, or that player's in the right place to build a counter attack and not too far away from the strike force. And then you got one that's quite close to your back line, so you can play short if you need to, if you're under pressure. But if that player is man marked, then you also have the other player available. So you can kind of use a bit of experimentation of what you want. Same thing here. I think you can go away with 70 depth. I would say anyone that's above rank 4 can really use 70 depth with no worries, as long as you're not defending like silly. Because you have CDMs, you have that security, you have that safety net, so you can basically get away with it. But as I said, my version, in my opinion, with just the cam as one of them as a half winger and one as a shadow striker, in my opinion, I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, it's the best formation inside the game. But of course, what I normally say doesn't, not everyone believes me. It takes some time for people to really understand it, and then everyone starts following like sheep. But yes, in my opinion, number one, but I would say in the list for the whole general public, it goes in number 3. Okay, then we go to the 4-4-2. Now, there's different variations. There's the 4-2-4 as well. People asking me in the video that I uploaded 2 days ago, is the 4-2-4 still viable? Of course, it's a bit more attacking. You have wingers. The benefit of the 4-4-2 flat is that you have these players as left mids and right mids. So when you put them on inside forward, yes, they're going to be attacking, but they're also going to be helping you defensively. They're not left wings and right wings that are a bit more attacking. They're going to help you, so when you don't have the ball, they're going to come back and help you defensively, so you don't get doubled up down the wings. I would probably personally prefer 2 box-to-boxes. And what I always say is here, 1 player on poacher, 1 player on advanced forward. For me, this is the best system. You only really use 2 on advanced forward if you really want that type of movement. If you're a professional player or you know exactly what you're looking for. Otherwise, the best in my opinion is 1 on poacher, 1 on advanced forward. Even if one just got a regular plus, I'm still going 1 poacher, 1 advanced forward. Now, the fullbacks aren't balanced. What's so important with this formation, the most important thing is the average player will struggle with this formation. So if you're watching this and you're below division, I'm probably going to say elite division. I want to really say elite division. And the reason why I got to put that blanket statement of like elite division is because it's a very hard formation to play, but arguably one of the best formations inside the game. Every professional player has a 4-4-2 in Arsenal. Every single one of them. It's the best pressing formation, out of possession to win the ball back. That alongside with the 4-2-4, which is slightly better, which is a bit more attacking. But also, if you know how to defend, it's the perfect pressure to provide pressure to your opponent, but to also defend stably. You know, you've got 2 banks of 4. If you know what you're doing, you're not really going to concede unless your opponent makes a good play, or of course you make a mistake. But I think, as I said, the average person that uses this formation, they struggle. They go in with this formation thinking they can play like the 4-2-1-3, which you know where that's going to come. But you don't have CDMs, and that's why you got to be safe. And if you use some people like, oh, but what about the 4-4-2 holding? Surely it makes sense. So, but then it's not the same because the CDMs are so far away, they don't engage in the attack. And that's the big caveat with using a 4-4-2 holding. And then also the pressing ability. Let's say you don't have possession of the ball. Your opponent's center mids are going to be high. So if you want to press the ball, you have to keep switching to your CDMs, running forward, and you're going to create gaps in behind. They're just too far away for a top tier player to press. Yes, you can still do it, but it's more effective to use a 4-4-2 flat. So that is the one caveat I would say. I would definitely recommend, unless it's a pressing tactic, don't go towards aggressive. You might as well use team press. Again, I would say probably err on the side of caution and go with something like 45 is what I would say. Anyone that's mainly around, I would say, if you're watching this, I would say rank 3 and below, I would say definitely err on the side of caution. If you are realistically rank 3 and higher against, I would say, lower tier opponents is basically like a cheat code because of where the center mid stand. When you put both of them on box to box, they both provide the attacking outlet of them going forward, providing the support, and then of course coming back. Now, if this is too much for you, you can of course put one of these on deep line, playmaker, defend. But I think since every single FIFA and every single FC since existence, right? I think the last time 4-4-2 really fell out of favor, it's quite a long time ago. Even if you go back to like FIFA 16, it was always 4-4-2. It's always a top 5 formation, one of the best formations inside the game. One of the best, if not the best, always every single year, but it's a higher level formation. So if you're using this and you're wondering why you're probably struggling with this, it's because unfortunately you don't have the ability to play this formation as a top tier player. And that's why when you're up against someone that's the same level as you, that's when you probably will fall. So again, it's just me just being honest. It's important that I be candid. There's no point painting some fantasy picture of unicorn saying you're going to win every single game with this. You have to have the ability. It's very, very important. It's like me putting you in the fastest Formula 1 car and asking you to win the race against Formula 1 drivers. It's not going to happen. And then we come to number 1. I'm pretty sure you didn't guess this one. But yes, this is probably the best formation all around. If I had to give someone, let's say I had no idea what skill level you were, what rank you were, I would say you have to use a 4-2-1-3. The reason why is because people use the 4-2-1-3 exclusively. They use it when they're losing, like 3-0. that is when you should be changing to like a 4-4-2. So that's why the top two formations, if I could just choose two form, let's say I had to go into a game, let's say you could only choose two tactics in this game. I would choose a 4-2-1-3 for both a balance and defensive style, and I'll choose a 4-4-2 to be a bit attacking and to press the ball. So if I could only choose two formations, the 4-2-1-3, the pros are kind of not using it as much, but they still are using it. You're going to see every professional player will have some sort of 4-2-1-3, or you can argue 4-4-1 variant if they don't need CDMs, because most pros don't know how to defend with center mids, of course, and they'll have a 4-4-2. You could basically use 70 here. It's a bit of a cheat code, and this is why the AI, defensive AI, kind of rules in your favor, because you have CDMs, you have the left wing and right wing. They're just so high up. It's just so easy to counter your opponent. You know, advanced forward is what you want to use for a singular striker. I personally prefer poacher, but when I release tactics, that's just my style of play. Not everyone plays with a poacher, so advanced forward for everyone. Playmaker, I would probably argue shadow strike is a bit better, but that player kind of stays forward. This is like pure now counter-attacking. Most people say, oh, but the gap between these players is a bit too much, and my cam doesn't help me defensively. So that's why sometimes playmaker is better all around. So inside 4 for left wing, right wing. Do not put this on roaming unless you really know how to attack, because when you defend, they're not going to come back. You are effectively left, as I say, to your own devices with just maybe a singular cam and your two CDMs. But that's why the formation is so powerful, because you could have all these 4 players effectively on stay forward and have 2 CDMs and a back 4 and still be able to defend. It's basically identical to the old school 4-2-3-1. If you think about it, the 4-2-3-1, this formation, the 4-4-1-1, they're both, all three of them, all the same formation. Maybe one has CDMs, one has center mids, one has left wings, one have left mids, right mids, but they're all identical. Do you see what I mean? They're not like very different. It's not like you have complete different system or one CDM and a 4-1-2-1-2. They all have the same structure, the same spine throughout them all. Deep line playmaker for both of them. However, as I mentioned to you, I prefer one holding, one the deep line playmaker. And if all else fails, I put my fullbacks on balanced. But if you also struggle against a counter-attacking threat, put them both on fullback defend. So this is what I'm trying to say. You can literally give this. So let's say, I don't know, you're using a 4-4-1-1. Let's say you're a rank 5 player and you're using a 4-4-1-1 exclusively. But let's say you changed and you added a 4-2-1-3 in, a 4-4-2, and you kept your 4-4-1-1, but you mainly used the 4-2-1-3. You'd probably win 1 or 2 more games, guaranteed, as long as you don't make the silly mistakes. Because a lot of those players, I would say the biggest problem that you're seeing skill level is a lot of people from like rank, and this is all my analysis, I go on account every single division. People from like Division 2 to Division 6, a lot of them just make basic mistakes running out with the centre backs. And you see where some of them you can get away with, but with the lack of CDMs, if you make that mistake, those CDMs are not close. You know, with centre mids, they sit much higher. So if you make a mistake, you don't have time to run back with your centre mid. But with your CDM, if you do make a mistake, it's a bit easier and they're closer, which allows you to defend with your CDM without breaking your back 4. And that's why, naturally speaking, the 2 CDMs are always going to be the safest state. You could even argue this over the 4-2-3-1 is the 4-2-3-1 has the cams, the wide cams. The benefit of that is that you do have the ability of them coming back a bit better defensively, but the best AI attacking movement is for inside forwards. And yes, you have the 4-2-3-1 second variation with left mids and right mids, but they sit a bit back. It's almost like the 4-4-1-1. So you kind of want wingers. And that is why I've liked the 4-2-4 instead of the 4-4-2. And that's why the 4-2-1-3 really reigns the reigning champion over all formations. So if there had to be just, as I said, just 2 formations, it's going to be this and some sort of a 4-4-2. This would be the only 2 formation I think that most people would pick if you had to choose the meta ones for pure wins. Having fun is a completely different argument, but this is just pure for meta wins. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. A bit of a no BS as well video. But again, it's important that I be honest, because I just want you to improve. It's not my job for you for you to like me. I'm your teacher. It's my job to tell you the truth and the facts. There's going to be other creators that are going to say, oh, this and that. So they like you. So they like them. But you know me. I'm going to say as it is always. If you want to get better at FC, come to my Patreon series, FC25 School. We've got videos from basically, if you're on anywhere below rank 3, I guarantee you'll improve. If you just listen to exactly what I say, 5 videos, you watch them, you do them properly, I guarantee you don't make any mistakes, you watch your gameplay back, I guarantee you'll improve. Join now. If you don't get bet after 1 month, we'll refund your money. This is the perfect time to prepare for the end of Ultimate Team of the season and even for next year. Links down below in the description. Remember, if you don't get bet after 1 month, we'll refund your money. That is the nil, guys. That's how 1000% sure I am you will improve if you do exactly what I tell you. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time.